I am Mike Cannon, and I will be narrating the Minnesota State High School League referee announcements training presentation. The reason we're providing this information about referees and announcements and use of the microphone is because more schools are utilizing this technology. We would like our referees to make the announcements whether or not a microphone is present. As a change to what we've done in the past, we are also asking our referees to announce the number of the player who committed a foul. Just a reminder with that, if you don't have the number, just continue on with your announcement, but don't make up the number. Hopefully this presentation will provide some consistency in our announcements, yet we still want each referee to use their own style. The purpose of referee announcements is to tell a brief story of what just happened in the game. We hope that we can provide information to all of you so that when you are communicating your announcements, that everyone can get a similar message. Some information that you need to know to give in your announcement is that one is the type of foul that was committed, two, the team that committed the foul, number three, the number of the player who committed the foul, number four, the penalty yardage involved in the foul, and lastly, the number of the next down. This is all information that you as a referee need to get from your crew before you make the announcement. Some ideas for the delivery of your referee announcements are that you use an even tone. You don't want to be yelling into the microphone. You don't want to appear to be angry. You just want your tone of your voice to be very even keel. You want to keep your messages relatively short, although you don't want to abbreviate. So make sure that you explain the penalty, explain the yardage, but do not abbreviate. And do not use football language. Make sure you use language that everybody will understand. An example of this would be sometimes we say DPI when we mean defensive pass interference. People won't understand what DPI means, so we have to make sure that we explain those in our announcements. And remember that some fouls are more important than other fouls, and that might be because of the timing, when they happen, and the situation of the game. So an example of that would be when you make an announcement for a false start. That typically is just a foul that everybody notices and does not carry a lot of emphasis. But when you might call a big personal foul late in the game, there's more emphasis on that foul, and you should be able to bring that out in your announcement. Some terminology that you should use in your announcements would be offense or defense, the kicking team or the receiving team when referring to a play that involves a kick, the passing team or the intercepting team and a play that involves a pass. Avoid using team names unless necessary. When you make your announcement, always make sure you use the word penalty when it's applicable. An example would be, rather than saying holding 10 yards, say holding 10-yard penalty. Some words that you should try to avoid if you can would be on the, or we have, or the penalty is. Those things are assumed when you make your announcements, and so you should avoid those. If you do make a mistake in your announcement, just stop and say correction and then give the correct information from there. And again, as we mentioned earlier, try to avoid officiating lingo and use what we call rule book language so that everyone understands what you're talking about. Here are some general suggestions to make with your announcements. First of all, be short and to the point. Tell a brief story. Only use preliminary signals in unusual situations or situations where the penalty might be declined. Also, if you need to have a crew discussion, it would be wise to give a preliminary signal so that people understand what the foul is, and then you can discuss the enforcement with your crew before you make your announcement. Also, make sure you have all of the information prior to making your announcement. You do not want to turn the microphone on, start your announcement, and then have to turn it off and go gather additional information. So make sure you have it all before you turn the microphone on and make the announcement. Keep your enforcement spot out of the announcement unless it's a special enforcement that is needed. An example of that might be where post-scrimmage kick enforcement is used, so you're going back to the end of the kick. Also, on all kicking plays that include a foul, make sure you announce the timing of the foul. Did the foul occur during the kick? Did it occur on the return? That helps in determining the enforcement spot. Use a brief description on major fouls or unusual situations. Remember that facial expressions and body language can tell a lot about how you feel about the situation. So be calm and do not give a lot of expression, yet be yourself. And administrative announcements such as needing to put time back on the clock, make sure that you use the words please and thank you. People like to hear that from you. And lastly, make sure you be yourself.
I like to keep the coin toss procedures as short as possible. I have the captains come in and introduce themselves. I usually do not introduce myself or the crew, but you may choose to do that if you like. I go to the visiting captain, have him select heads or tails. I do announce that so that everyone is aware what he chooses. After flipping the coin, I let it land on the ground, and then we go to the winning captain with their decisions. Remember that the choices are to defer to the second half if they choose to. Otherwise, it's kick, receive, or defend a goal. As far as the overtime is concerned, I go through the same procedure. No introductions are necessary at that point. And remember that the visiting team gets to select the heads or tails again, and the winning captain will choose offense, defense, or what end of the field they would like to play on. Here's an announcement for a foul during the kick return. Make sure that you explain when the foul occurred. So as we would do it, we have during the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 35. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down. After you're done with your signal, then you can turn around and signal your first down. Here's an announcement for a foul that occurs on a punt return. During the return, clipping, return team number 15. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down. If you have a foul, such as a false start before the snap, make sure you give the dead ball signal. So we would go dead ball foul, illegal procedure. Offense, number 52. 5-yard penalty, second down. Here's an announcement for a foul that leaves the offense short of the line to gain. Holding, defense, number 53. 10-yard penalty, it remains second down, or repeat second down. If you have multiple fouls on a play, I would suggest that you have one of the other officials stand off to your side, and he can help you with numbers and also the fouls that were called. An example would be if you have two fouls on the same team, I would start out my announcement with, there are two fouls on the play, both against the offense. Illegal motion, offense number 15. That penalty is declined. Holding, offense number 58. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down. If you have multiple fouls on a play and they're going to offset each other, I would announce there are two fouls on the play, one against each team. Holding, offense number 53. Pass interference, defense, number 33. Those penalties offset, repeat second down. When a team asks for a timeout, you'll want to wave your hands twice while you're making your announcement. So it could be first charge timeout, Apple Valley, or charge timeout, Apple Valley, they're first. And then you either signal with your hand towards the team that takes the timeout, or you can actually shift and do the two-hand signal. If it's their third timeout, I like to announce third charge timeout, this is their last of the half. If you need to reset the clock, make sure that you make the announcement asking them to please reset the clock. And once they have done that, say thank you.
I want to thank Mike Cannon for his willingness to help us out with this presentation. I think it's a good illustration of the basics that you need to make an effective announcement, and hopefully that helps you this year as we go through the season. As Mike mentioned, more and more schools are using mics all the time, and we just want you to get used to making effective announcements so that when you do have a mic, you'll be ready to shine. So have a great season.